who you notice throughout the crowd today, they're here to assist you. So should you have any questions throughout the process, please feel free to approach either Deepak Jain, George Savrakis, Rose McCosker, Ron Singh, Leon Alisard, and of course, Andrew DeSanto and Joel Villavatini, whose names you can see on the board, and who I'm sure many, if not all of you, have had the great pleasure of becoming acquainted with throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you now the following announcements which are in place to help you, the buyers, bid and buy with confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that remain available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price, as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. Now, buyers, a contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. It reads that today, Harcourts, Rata & Co. sells on behalf of the vendor all this land together with any improvements described in the attached copy of title volume 11141, folio 834. But you and I and the postman know it much better as number 22 Lawton Avenue here in Epping. Selling with the property today all fixed floor coverings, light fittings, fixed window furnishings and any other fixtures and fittings of a permanent nature. Today, once the property is sold, we will call on the successful purchaser to pay deposit equal to 10% of the purchase price upon the fall of the hammer, and the signing of the contracts to take place here today, and the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 30 to 60 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. That, buyers, is the day that you're handed the keys and you can finally call this magnificent home your very own. And what is it that you will be calling home? Number 22 Lawton Avenue, 4 bedrooms, serviced by those 2 bathrooms. The back 2 bedrooms, of course, have that 2-way ensuite, massive master ensuite to the front through the walk-in robe, multiple living zones, formal living up the front, massive open formal living area at the back, manicured gardens, nothing to do, and buyers on 814 square metres of prime residential land here in the heart of Epping. Now, that is one thing that you cannot replace. They don't make land anymore, certainly not many subdivisions in Epping that you can buy 814 square metres, and it's that land that will provide security by way of capital growth for you and your family for many, many years to come, in a location that has really been put on the map in the last few years due to all of the infrastructure that we have at our fingertips. Parkland, you can see as close as across the road behind you. Easy access to good quality schools, both primary and secondary, both private and public. Easy access to transport and many, many shopping options at our fingertips. This is the ideal family package. This is the ideal family location. The only thing that this home is missing is your family. But today we can rectify that. If you'd like to have those keys, now is your opportunity. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 22 Lawton Avenue? Who'd like to start us off? I don't mind the call, buyers. Start me where you like. Always need an opportunity to catch my breath before we get into the frenzied bidding. So I appreciate that, buyers. Thank you very much for considering my voice box. Where was that? At 7, a bit light on, sir, but I'll take your 750 and I'll ask for someone to round me off to 8. At 750,000 now, looking for 8 in the rise. At 750,000, optimistic bid, but I love an optimist, sir, so I'll go with you at that. At 750 now, at 800, got now at 800,000. At 800,000 now, we need to get serious, sir. Can I say 850 in the rise? At 800,000, the bid's there to get 825, I'll take, sir, just to help me count. I'm not that good at maths. At 25 now and 50 if you like, Rose. At 825. At 825,000, is that a yes, sir, to 850? 825 I have, 8 1/4 and make it 8 1/2 in the rise. At 825,000. At 825,000, fairly been offered now. At 825, 850 now got. At 8 1/2 and make it 8 3/4 in the rise, sir. At 850,000. At 850,000, 860. I'm taking 75, sir. Can I say 75 in the rise? 50 I've got. At 850,000. At 850,000, 75 now. 875 the bid. At 875,000, got to be 900 in the rise now. At 875 the bid. fairly been offered over here at 875. Round me off to 9, sir. Get yourself in front at 875. Fairly been offered now at 875,000. At 875,000, fairly been offered 8 3/4. Got to be 900 in the rise at 875. What? I won't take the 80, sir. You've got to round me off to 900. I had your competition increase their bid. If I take your 5 now, he's going to absolutely kill me. At 875, I'm happy to negotiate with you. I'll lower my expectations to 10. Can I say 885 in the rise? At 875,000, the bid's there. 85 will get you back in front. At 875,000, once. At 875, done. Twice. At 885, welcome. Someone took the opportunity, sir, at 885,000. Best of luck here today, sir. At 885, at 885,000. No, I won't take 5,000. Round me off to 900. 885 I've got, but I will take 10 if it helps. At 900,000 got now. At 900,000, fairly been offered. At 900,000, the bid's there, crossroad. 910 will put you ahead. At 900,000 now, even money. Can't buy with one bid. Not at one of my auctions. At 910 I've got. At 910,000 now, fairly been offered. At 910,000, sir, you with me? You need to raise those bids if you want to get back involved. At 910,000, the bid's there. It's against you, sir. 20. I won't take 5. I will if you bid twice, though. At 910,000, the bid's there. 20 the call. At 910,000, fairly bid off, and 20 got now at 920,000. At 920,000, bid back there. 30 now if you like. At 920,000, fairly been offered. At 920,000, third bid might be the lucky one. At 920,000, I've got, can I say 30, sir? At 920. At 920,000, fairly been offered here at 920 now. Once. At 920,000, done. At 30 got now. At 930,000, the bid's back there now at 930. What do you say, sir? 40? 50 is even better. At 930 I've got. At 930,000, fairly been offered now at 930 the bid. First call at 930, done.
Will you take 5?
No, sir, but the bid's with him at 935. And if we don't reach the reserve price, I'm only going to deal with him. So if you want it on the market, you want the opportunity, I need to see you bid at 35 now. And I'll give you the same courtesy at 5 if you like, sir. 40, can I say? At 935,000, the bid's there across the road at 40 got. At 940 with a nod of the head. At 940 now. At 940,000. At 50 now, and that's a better bid at 950. He's up the stakes, sir, up the ante. Meet him at that at 950 now. 10, can I say? At 950,000, the bid's there now. At 55, I'll still entertain the 5 from the same courtesy to you, sir, at 5 if you like. At 955,000, coming off such a strong bid, you're just going to leave me like that? Surely not. At 955,000, 60 will put you ahead, put you in good stead, getting close now. At 955,000, fairly been offered. At 955,000, once. At 955 will be done. At 955,000, twice. At 955, done. At 60, welcome back, sir. And the 5 I'll take now, of course, at 960,000. At 960,000. So he was on the ropes for a long time. We can't just let him come back in now and buy it with one bid. Give me 65. Give me 70. Let's test him at 65 now. At 965. At 965 for your 5,000, sir. Well and truly good with me at this point. At 965,000, the bid's there. 70 the call. At 965 now for the first call at 965. At 965,000, twice at 965. Third, final call at 965,000. Sir, if you want to buy, you have to go like this, not like this. You can't buy property like that. 965, the bid's there. It's against you. Only cost you 5 in the rise. At 965,000, fairly been offered there next door at 965. At 965,000, first call at 965. All done. Second call at 965,000. Done. Finished. Third. Final call at 965,000. So it's a quiet street this whole time. We've only seen one car and they haven't even passed yet. At 970,000, welcome and best of luck at 970 now. At 970,000. At 970, back to you for 9 3/4 if you like. At 970,000, the bid's there now. At 970. At 970, you've been so strong, don't leave me just yet. At 970, can I say 75 in the rise? Or can I suggest 80? That's even better. At 970,000, fairly been offered. Opportunity with you, the bid's there. Opportunity here at 970. At 970,000 once. At 970, are we all done? At 970,000 twice. At 970, done. At 75, welcome back, sir, and I would have thought so. Now, sir, you're not going to come in with just one bid and then leave. Don't be a one bid wonder, sir. Give me 80 in the rise. At 975 in the bid's there. It's back against you at 75. At 975 the bid. 80 can I suggest in the rise. At 975,000, fairly been offered once at 975. At 975,000 twice. At 975. Third. Final call. At 975,000, at 80 now, at 980,000. Now, sir, you saw the hesitation in that bid. At 980,000, 85 now, at 985, is that right? At 85 now, the quick retort. At 985,000. So when somebody bids against you that quickly, it shows there's an enormous amount of value in this property. At 985,000, the bid's there. It'll take 90 to get ahead. At 985, fairly been offered there across the road. Opportunity on this side. At 985,000. Now, Andrew's just come and whispered in my ear that we are on the market and selling. At 985,000, the bid's there. Sir, we're on the market and selling. There's no further bids. You bought the property. And for everyone else, if there's no further bids, you haven't bought the property. At 985,000. Now, sir, I'm going to test you. We're on the market. Can I get a bid? I would have thought, sir, that you would have been straight in first when we were on the market to place a bid. At 985,000. Took me a while to get that answer to you, sir, but there it is. At 985,000, bids with you at 985. On the market and selling. Make absolutely no mistake about it. No second chances. Play for keeps. Once the property is sold today, sold is sold, gone is gone. At 985. At 990 now, and this is where it counts. At 990,000, sir, forget all those other bids. Now we're on the market. Now we sell. Now we play for keeps. Now I need to see your interest. At 990, round me off to a mil. At 1 mil? At $1 million now. At $1 million, fairly been offered now. At $1 million on the bids there. At 5 at 1,005,000, at 5 on the mill. At 1,005,000, fairly been offered now. 1,005,000, bid there across the road. Is that yes, sir? Can I just make up the bid? A 1,010,000 now, 1,010,000. At 10,000 above the mill now, at 10,000 on the mill. On the market and selling, make absolutely no mistake. We play for keeps here today. We're selling once the hammer falls. Sold is sold, gone is gone. No second opportunity. At 1,010,000, at 5,000 now, 1,015,000. At 1,015,000. Can I get a big bid from you, sir? At 1,015,000, say 1,030,000 in the rise. Show them that you mean business. Big bids, buy property at 1,015,000. Fairly been offered over there. Keys are there, so if you want those keys, I need to see your interest now. At 1,015,000 once. At 2.5. At 17.5. At 1,017,500. Sir, the best response to a small bid is a big one. At 1,017,500. At 10,000, sir, 127. 5,000 more. 10,000. At 127.5, sir. At 127.5, fairly been offered now. At 127.5. I was confused, Deepak, because you had 5 up for saying 10 and 30 I have now. At 1,030,000, fairly been offered and welcome back at 1,030,000. At 1,030,000, the bid's back there, another 10 might just get it done for you, sir. At 1,030,000, fairly been offered now, 1,030,000. At 5 more, 1,035,000. At 1,035,000, at 40, at 1,040,000 now. At 1,040,000, at 45 now. Was that 50, sir? At 1,045,000, or was it 50, sir? At 45. Trying to put words in your mouth. Money out of your pocket per 50 I have here now. At 1,050,000. At 1,050,000, the bids there we're selling, sir. At 1,050,000 at 55 now, 1,055,000. At 1,055,000, raise the stakes, sir. Give me a big bid. At 1,055,000, show us you're here to buy. At 57.5 now. At 1,057,500. 60 if you like, sir. 65's better though. At 1,057.5. At 1,057,500. What's at 57.5 on the mill? 5,000 more. At 5,000, 1,062.5. At 162.5 now. At 1,062,500 the bid. At 1,062.5, round me off to 65 because I won't be able to count like this for long at 65. Thank you. At 1,065 now. At 1,065,000, fairly been offered back there at 1,065. Opportunity with you, sir. 1,065,000. Give me a big bid now. At 5 more, at 70 now. At 1,070,000 the bid. At 1,070,000, getting my steps up today. Did you have to stand so far apart from each other? At 1,070,000. At 1,070,000 now, fairly been offered 1,070,000 back there, 75, sir. At 1,070,000. At 1,070,000 once. At 5 now, 75. At 1,075,000. Sir, be bold. Say 1.1. At 1,075,000 and the bid's there. At 1,075,000. Can I say 1.1 in the rise? I will wear my shoes out. I'll wear one pair of shoes out a month, sir. At $1,075,000, and the bid's there. At 5 more, and $1,080,000. At $1,080,000 now. At $1,080,000, I'll implore you, sir, be bold. Give me 1.1 in the rise. At $1,080,000, might be that mental barrier. At 5 now, at 85. At $1,085,000. At $1,085,000 now, fairly bid offered now. $1,085,000, has he done enough? What do you say, sir? At 90 now. 1.1, surely, sir, it beckons. At $1,090,000 now. At $1,090,000, the bid's behind. Opportunity with you. At $1,090,000. At $1,090,000. 1.1 might be just that mental barrier, sir, that he's not willing to cross. Perhaps, sir, if you arrive there first, you win those keys. At $1,090,000, the bid's there. If you go 95, you open the door to him to say 1.1. Take the opportunity that's before you. Can I say 1.1? No, not yet. If not now, then when, sir? I'm not here for much longer. At $1,090,000, fairly been offered. Bids there against you. At $1,090,000 once. At $1,090,000, are we done? At $1,090,000 twice. At $1,090,000, done. Finish. At 91. At $1,091,000, sir. Cause for optimism. At 95 or 96? At 95 now. I thought you were putting the 5 on top of the 1, but I'll take the 95 at $1,095,000. At $1,095,000, I'll still take the 1, sir, on top. But I dare say 1.1 is where it's got to be. At $1,095,000. At 1.1, got now at 1.1. We'll see if that strategy worked. At 1.1 now. At 5 on top, it didn't, sir, but 1,110,000 might. At 1,105,000, the bid's there. You sure that's done? At 1,105,000. At 1,105,000, fairly bid offered over here at 1,105,000. Opportunity with you now. Once at 1,105,000, done. Twice at 1,105,000, done. Finished at 105,000 on the mill. All done. All finished, silent and out. We're definitely done, sir. Thank you very much for being here today. So we're definitely done over here, 1,105,000. What about one of those cheeky $5,000 bids for old time's sake? No? Definitely, thank you very much. At an extra 1,000 now. Well, I was getting to you, sir. At 1,106,000 now. He's beat me to it at 1,106,000. Looks like it's down to you and him, sir. At 1,106,000 at 1,110 now. At 1,110,000. At 1,110,000, make it 1,111,000. 1,111. At 1,111,000, are you sure? 1,110,000, 1110 over there. At 1,110,000, you're definitely done now, sir. Absolutely confident that that's all that's left in the kitty. They seem like deep pockets, so dig a little bit deeper. You might find some pocket change in there. We're definitely done now. 1,110,000. What about you, Dad? Chuck something in the kitty. No? 1,110,000. Thank you very much for your spirit of being here today. I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to count to 3. In that time, have a moment to think about it. If there's any more there, throw it at me. At 1,110,000. Bids here. We sell today. 1,110,000 for the first call. 1,110,000. All done. Twice. At 1,110,000. Are we done? Finished. Third. Final call. At 1,110,000 the bid. All done. All finished. Silent out at 1,110,000. You're definitely done, sir. I have your absolute best here today. I can sell to the highest bidder over there. Thank you very much for your spirit of bidding here today. 1,110,000. He tells me he's out. So first, second, third. Final call. All done. Finished. Silent out 1,110,000. Definitely done, sir. Oh. I didn't know that was there. We're definitely done. Yes or no, sir? I'll take 1. We're selling. 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 So congratulations, sir. Well bid. Congratulations to our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed another successful Harcourts, Rata and Co auction. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again soon. Thank you. Congratulations. Well bid. Who's it for? You too? For you? Well done. Yeah, I need new shoes every week. Come in, guys. Condolences, mate. You gave it everything you could. All right. Hopefully the next one. No, that's it. Cheers, mate.